You want to be physically ready. The times I've always had terrible sessions, I've eaten too many trackside hot dogs or just felt like crap. Remember, the biggest factor in doing okay versus great is you, not the car. You are piloting the vehicle. Anything to get you as locked in as possible will help. This includes cool shirts, racing safety, and performance gear to make you feel connected. Going from a cheap G-Force racing suit to a $2,000 Alpine Stars suit that makes you feel connected, it will make you feel like wearing nothing at all. And that has had a measurable impact on my input to the car. Now, your mileage may vary. Another thing that's often slept on is a carbon fiber helmet. Being able to look lock to lock quickly without a lot of momentum does help. Now, that's maybe a bit more in autocross, but it does help in track too. Anyway, enough of the tangents. Let's move on to more track-focused things. You want to have your area staged. You do not want to be hunting down torque wrenches or tire inflators when they make the 20-minute call to false grid. When exiting from a previous session, I always make sure to put the harnesses in position again for easy re-entry to the car. All cameras should be turned off, data loggers pulled. Shortly after a session is when, in my case, I refuel the car. This may be specific. I have to run my tank full. You do not want to be refueling in your race suit unless you have a dedicated pit crew. I would also ensure any camera batteries and data loggers are charged and reinstalled before the 20-minute call to grid. If your car tends to run hot, one other thing to do is have fans ready for the vehicle. I pre-position all those on automatic car. Sometimes the automatic rear brakes. I had to get dual job site fans to cool down the rear brakes before letting the automatic parking brake engage. Okay, so obviously maintenance can be a big rabbit hole, but in general, in between sessions, I check the following. I check the wheel bearings by kicking the wheels. I check all fluid reservoirs. I check if anything is leaking under the car. I check oil levels once the engine is cool. I check all belts for fraying or cracks. I check rotors for cracks. Once the car is cool, I torque the lug bolts or lug nuts when cold. And also, most importantly, you want to check your transponder has flashes because that's where you're getting your time. Each flash is a day of battery time. With the text or seeing the group before yours go out on track, this is where the clock starts. From here on out, you have about 20 minutes before you are late to going out on track. In my opinion, you want to get to false grid as early as possible. The only disadvantage there is if it's hot out and you have no cool shirt or car air conditioning. So next up, you want to set your cold tire pressure. This is going to be fairly similar to autocross, but you want to set it a little bit lower than normal if you're used to autocross. And obviously this is highly car and tire dependent, so your mileage may vary. So the last thing before heading to false grid is to obviously suit up with safety gear. One tip that I found is to buy, they have special safety gloves now that you can use with electronics. Obviously, otherwise, if you don't have those, you don't want to put your gloves on until you get like the 3-minute call to track, but we'll get onto that. And again, one other thing I'd recommend is actually doing this a little bit before you get the 20-minute call. You can kind of figure that out by whoever is the group that runs before you and kind of time it when they were called and when you think they're going to make the 20-minute call for you. So in general, I'm already suited up when the 20-minute call is made. Then I start doing the tire pressure stuff and getting ready to head to false grid.
Okay, so we are driving to false grid. I like to do this as early as possible. That way I can fight with the catalyst or the cameras, get anything sorted inside the car. That way I'm also not rushing to get to false grid. So how this usually works is I'm approaching false grid. First session of the day is qualifying, so they kind of look at your times and see how you competed in the past, or if you're new, they look at videos and stuff and they place you as appropriate. For me here at Grid Life, I've been competing for a while, so I am P4 in Group C. At Grid Life, they group you based off of time, which has its pros and cons. It keeps the session flowing nicely. However, you don't really get to know the people in your run group as it keeps shifting. Alright, so now that we're here at false grid, what I like to do is get the catalyst ready, make sure the cameras are on but not running. You want to make sure that the timers on your things are set to basically as long as possible. You'll wear out the battery life, obviously, but it's easier than turning them on and off constantly. But never update your Garmin Catalyst in the middle of a session. So I'm starting this here. What I like to do, I have a Bluetooth motorcycle helmet that I got for 20 bucks. I've had 3 of these, and I just buy a new one every year or so, and they've lasted forever. But I go to check audio, test audio, and make sure it's working. You should hear it here in a second. Yeah, so I don't know why that was so quiet. Test that again. Usually about 90. Alright, so that is ready to go. You want to make sure on audible prompts you have advanced race coach, and after each session you want to make sure that you're doing the adding the stuff to race coach as you do sessions. So I go ahead and just hit start, and it shouldn't time out or anything. That way, if it's mine has not been super reliable. I think it's just the power supply isn't. Okay, so they have a 5-minute call to grid. Usually I just put my hand out the window and just mimic whatever time they're saying so the other people in the false grid can know if they didn't hear that or couldn't see it. In this case, this is first session of the day. The motors was cold, so a lot of times if I get here 20 minutes early, I shut it off after I've reached engine operating temperature, like 180 degrees, or optimal steady state oil pressure. But in this case, first session of the day, I'm just going to leave it running at the 5-minute warning. Usually I'll shut it off after about 10 minutes, then wait about 5 or 10 minutes, and turn it on at like the 3-minute warning. So take this time to make sure everything's good. Hans is hooked up, everything is tight. We got 3-minute warning. GoPro are on. Actually, I'm using an Osmo right now. And we're good to go. Last thing you want is something open or something bothering you, clanking around when you realize you're pulling on a track, because I've been there. This is a 1-minute call. Again, you want to be ready to go 1 minute, because 1 minute usually means 10 seconds. The timing usually isn't perfect on these kind of calls, and yeah, you want to be ready to rock. Checking everything is good to go. Any buttons or switches are on that you need. Mirror is good. Cameras are on. Yeah, so we'll be getting on track. We'll be doing a full course yellow first lap. Sometimes they do straight to green. Sometimes you have to do a warm-up. It depends on the group and session or day, weather's bad or whatever. Alright, so we're doing a full course yellow first lap. It's not that cold out. Oh, there's shit in the track. So one of the key things, if you have a heavy car like mine, is on the warm-up lap, is to try not to use too much brakes. For me, the brakes are kind of the limiting item to finish a 20-minute session. So using a lot of heavy brakes on the first session is you'll kind of just eat up the kind of the heat load on the brakes, right? The problem with doing this is obviously you're not practicing the racing line whatsoever. Your tires are going to be cold anyway, so I'm not sure that's really a big deal. This video isn't really meant to tell you how to be a better driver. I'm a very mid driver. In that case, I did do a heel toe. This transmission does not like being cold, and since it is the first session of the day, I'm going to try and actually do some of the shifts. Sometimes I skip those in later sessions of the day, as the transmission is kind of hard to cool down as it's in the middle of the car. Alright, so we're approaching green flag. Supposed to be pointing to the corner workers. Forgot to do that. And we are green flag.
Okay, now that we're on track, so we're going to focus on strategies again here. You get on track, you get behind someone, and he gets stuck. What do? No, you don't run to Facebook and post a video about how you're so much faster than this guy. What you do is you pull off and you go to pit and you ask for spacing. That is the best thing you can do. Yes, you're going to possibly waste a session, but if you're stuck behind somebody, that session's already ruined. So you never know what someone else is doing. They could be having incidental, they could be something could be breaking in their car. Don't presume they just suck. So while you're on track, you definitely want to be checking your mirrors for traffic behind you. You don't want to drive through your mirrors, but you want to be glancing at them every once in a while to make sure someone hasn't snuck behind you, they're faster than you, etc. You want to be checking corner stations for flags. I'm not going to go too much into all the safety briefing, but definitely whatever your organization recommends. You want to be checking your gauges for alarms. Last year at Dingerman, I blew up my motor because I was only checking the gauge for oil pressure every 30 seconds or so. So maybe have an alarm versus a gauge you have to manually remember to check, especially when you're laying down a sweet flyer. Make sure to listen to your Garmin Catalyst if you have one. Mine, whenever it does make recommendations, they're pretty good and I've always saved time. The problem being is that usually you have to put down at least a couple laps before it can start aggregating information. The other thing, if you're in the opposite situation of being the person slowing down people, I just let people pass. Sometimes if you're looking behind you, someone's fast coming up behind you, I let them pass because then if you can see a break behind them, then your next lap you can lay down a nice flyer because you'll be clear of traffic. So lastly, for on track cooldown, fairly simple. You want to stay fast but offline. If you're cooling down earlier, if your kind of car is a one lap period, you want to make sure you kind of are constantly checking your mirrors. You really don't want to piss somebody off if you're doing an early cooldown lap. You want to make sure you do not hold anybody up and you're offline, not in the racing line.